The difference between the overt kibitz and the passive-aggressive kibitz.
Oh, right.
So the overt kibitz is, the finger in the pudding, and it goes. There's not enough sugar in there.
Yeah, the flavour is too dry.
Too dry.
Flavour's too dry.
Sugar. Mum will go, interesting decision, no sugar.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You know what it is? Man's driving, woman sitting next to him. You hungry? Nope. You get it? She's hungry, but she isn't saying she's hungry. You hungry? Nope. That's not mine. That's Deborah, the linguist. Deborah, and I can remember her name, did men and women's different ways of talking. The bloke goes, I'm hungry, can we stop? The woman says, are you hungry? Nope. Right, and on we go. Hi, I'm Michael Rosen, and I write books. Some of those are children's books, poetry and stories, and sometimes I write the words for a picture book. I also write for adults. I've written a few books about language and that sort of thing. I do radio programs about language, a program called Word of Mouth on Radio 4 for the BBC. And then also I teach at university. I teach at Goldsmiths, University of London. And we co-devised a master's, as it's called, yes, a master's in children's literature. And this involves teaching. So it's quite a challenge and interesting thing for me to figure out what is the best way to teach people, many of whom are themselves teachers. So we're constantly talking and reviewing the way we teach. To what extent do we do lectures? If you do lectures, do you give people notes? Do you give them PowerPoints? Or indeed, do you give them the whole lecture beforehand so they can make notes on the lecture? And then also seminars. Do you have seminars where people talk in pairs, in groups, and so on? So we're constantly reviewing it, tutorials which are one-on-one. So to what extent does the student bring to the tutorial some stuff that they've prepared so that you can then review it? And then also, what do you write on the assignments, on the essays? Do you write stuff that is critical, or do you write stuff that's suggesting other things that they might do? So a lot of this comes from my experience of listening to my parents, talking to my parents. They were both very, very interested in education, wrote about education. They wrote a book together called The Language of Primary School Children, which I remember when they were writing, they would read out bits to me and say, what do you think of this bit? What do you think of this bit? And I was only in my early 20s. So education is pretty well in my blood, hearing them talk about it, well, all the way until my dad was in his 70s, actually, because he was teaching students and running classes right the way through to his 70s. So I'm often thinking about what does it mean to teach, and what does it mean to be a learner with somebody called a teacher, and how that varies across your life, whether you're a 3-year-old in a nursery school or whether you're a 33-year-old in an MA class, and whether some things are common to all of it or whether there are important distinctions. You know, do we expect a 3-year-old to play more than a 33-year-old? I'm not really sure. I think play for 33-year-olds in the sort of deep sense is very good, even just in the terms of, say, trying out ideas and suggesting to people, oh, I've just thought this, what do you think? Without being judged is a very important place to be. And in its own way, it's very similar to a child wondering whether they're going to climb a climbing frame. Oh, shall I go up there? Oh, if I go to the second rung, will I fall off? In actual fact, you know, it's a bit the same when you're 33 and doing a master's. You know, if I try this idea out, will I fall off? So all those things interest me a lot.